Hello and happy Sunday. Welcome to our fourth interview with Ezshwan Winding. How are you today?
I'm very well. I hope everybody else is too. It's kind of a rainy day in San Miguel, which is nice. We need the rain.
Instead of previous interviews where I curated from the plethora of well-organized paintings, today I actually took certain works off from your walls in your home. And I'm entitling this Nostalgia. And I'm sure there's a lot to be learned from each of these paintings. These are all encaustics. And I'm gonna start with this piece right here. And I would love to know more about what inspired this and its history.
Yes, this is the last series so far that I've done, Nostalgia, or Memories as I call it, and going back into my long history of family and connections there. And this one is called Grandma's Photo in the Attic. When I was a very little girl, there was a photo of my mother's mother up in the attic. It was in a wonderful round oval frame, and I thought she was just beautiful. The photo of my grandma, whom I never met. She passed in Hungary before I was born. She was wearing a high lace collar and her hair was up in a bun. And I would go talk to that photo because that was the only grandma I had. And sometimes I thought my mother was not being fair with me, so I would talk to my grandma. So this was inspired by that. Well, I no longer have the photo, so I used the image of my oldest daughter in it. And it is layered, it has lots of things in it. It's the ink over the milk paint, encaustic, some oil glazes, and even a transfer of Hungary in there. And so it's my...
Is this the transfer right here?
Yes, that little round one down in that corner.
And Ezshwan, both your parents were from Hungary?
Yes, they did. They actually met in the States. They met in Milwaukee, but they both came from Hungary. And I didn't have any grandmas, and so that photo was important to me.
Now the next two pieces I've chosen that are from this series are also encaustic in a similar medium.
It's the same medium as the first one, and it's the same idea. I was going back into time. I had a whole collection of old photographs and things what were taken from my family's attic, and I have no idea where these all are at this time, but anyway, I used these as an inspiration for this series. That particular one is called Wien 1910, Vienna 1910. And it was from a postcard I believe my father brought with him when he left Europe to come to the States. And I think it was supposed to be kind of a spicy photograph because that's her underwear.
How times have changed.
Yes, indeed. And the one next to it is a photograph of my favorite cousin, Helen, and my big brother was not born at this time. And it's called The Dress Aunt Minnie Made Me. My mother had made Helen this fancy pink dress, and my brother was always the clown in the background. Both of them are long gone now, but I have these wonderful memories of the fun time with family with these.
Did you use transfers or recipes, or what is this?
Transfers and scraping and charcoal and of course encaustic, lots of different techniques. I just do it till I got the feeling that I wanted.
Now this is a painting I did not find displayed on your walls, but in your bins. But it evokes the same nostalgia that I wanted to highlight today.
Very old. This was from the very first Nostalgia or Memory series that I did at least 25 years ago, maybe 30 years ago, from old photos again that I found tucked away in the family attic. And this painting I used some contemporary colors, as you can see, colors I wouldn't normally use together, like the orange and the lavender, to actually push me into doing something a little newer with the old photographs.
I'd like to mention this is not an encaustic. At that time you weren't working in encaustic. Is this acrylic?
I think it was acrylic. It's been so long. It was probably 30 years ago. I don't really remember. I was using acrylic and oil in those days. They've only been using encaustic for 21 years, so this was before that. And the photo from which I was inspired was probably taken in 1927, even before I was born. And it was my mother and father, and my brother. And they were in a lake, probably in Wisconsin, which was close to our home in Illinois. And it was just a family outing, probably on a Sunday. And it's fun for me to go back and pull up the memories that even when I wasn't there yet.
Is that a fish on your brother's lap?
I don't know. Probably. This was probably a can of worms or fish or something. I doubt if he could have caught a fish that big, but who knows? I was waiting to be born years later.
Again, I love the contrast of the contemporary colors, the breakup of shapes, but again, the sweetness of nostalgia of a simpler time.
Well, I was the only one in the family. I was the youngest one of that generation who cared about the old recipes and the history and the traditions, and I was the one who used them and still cherish them.
Thank you, Ezshwan.
Oh.